Hey guys, this is Jay Calder with JAYONBOXING here giving you a preview and prediction for Joyce versus Chisora. And as always, this is just my take, of course. Your predictions, your thoughts, all that stuff can be left down in the comments section below. Would love to hear them all. But before we get started, of course, please like, subscribe, all that stuff. It definitely helps out the channel and I do greatly appreciate it. Now, a little bit of fight info here. As mentioned, we have Joyce taking on Chisora. This will be at the O2 Arena in London, England, in the heavyweight division with no titles on the line. Well, the heavyweight fight everyone has been calling for. It's finally getting close, apparently. In the one corner, we have the iron-chinned, usually, Joyce. Punches slow as hell, but has a solid work rate and can crack. In the other corner, we have the Is He Still Fighting award winner Chisora. He shows up and shows up to fight at the very least. That's what we get from him at this point. Yeah, this is a weird one, we gotta be honest, and maybe a hard one to really sell as a big deal. Here's a fun fact to kind of perfectly illustrate how weird this fight is. Chisora, at 40 years of age, is the older of the two by 2 years. He's older than Joyce by 2 years, but has been fighting professionally for a decade longer. And somehow they both seem about evenly matched considering all of that. So, with Joyce maybe a bit more vulnerable and faded and Chisora always willing to throw hands, maybe a decent fight awaits us. All that in mind, let's get to some of the biggest questions heading into this contest. First question is, has Joyce's chin been completely cracked? You know, boxing is a weird sport sometimes, in a lot of ways. One way I've noticed is how quickly a fighter's chin can just dip on him once it's been cracked that first time. Starting out, he can avoid getting clipped, doesn't drop, then he has that one fight where he's either rocked or dropped or stopped, and he's never the same. Could Joyce be a showcase of that point? You know, prior to his pair of bouts with Zhang, who is definitely a solid puncher, Joyce didn't seem all that bothered about taking shots to the grill. A stupid trait, but his beard seemed to handle it. However, with how badly hurt he was in both those fights, you wonder if those instances have cracked that jaw permanently, and maybe his confidence in that beard as well. If that is the case, his slower hands, coupled with a lack of solid defense, could be troublesome, especially at heavyweight. I would also ask, does Chisora have anything left? And you know, as much as we question what Joyce might be able to take, we also have to wonder what Chisora still has to give. He's going to give it a go. There will be an effort there. He has to know this could be his last real shot at much of anything. That said, does he have much to offer? He's 40, was always limited to begin with, and has been beaten up a few times pretty badly in his last meaningful fights. If fighters can be shop-worn, Chisora would seem a prime example. Maybe Chisora's biggest issue is he's not even a massive puncher. He doesn't have that one tool to really test Joyce's potentially dented chin. So outside of a career-defining performance or some sort of career-rescuing performance, Chisora might be in a really tough fight in this contest. And finally, where do the winner and loser go? You know, half of this question is kind of easy. That's the loser side. The loser is just about done. You know, losing to the other guy in particular, and then considering age and general wear and tear, yeah, that about does it near the top for the loser. Sure, either might continue to fight on regardless, but the top level won't see either man if he happens to come up short. The future for the winner is a little harder to figure out. If it's Joyce, okay, he gets the win over a name of sorts and rebuilds, but he's also 38. And Zhang is still around. Can he navigate to a title shot while avoiding the Chinese fighting man? That's tough to say, and should he do that anyway? And you know, for Chisora, I mean, Jesus, big win for you, but I don't think you beat any other meaningful heavyweight in the division at this point in time. Still, keeps you alive for a potential big fight down the road that, at least on paper, is kind of an interesting prospect for you. That being said, all that out of the way, let's get into this pick and break this fight down. Starting off with Joyce. Now for Joyce, you want to win with the jab. You are a solid finisher, and that might happen here in this fight, but it's not what you should be outright looking for. Instead, get the jab pumping out there. Bust Chisora up. Use the massive reach advantage you have on him and set up your work. As the rounds progress, the bigger shots will be there, but you need to get Chisora under control and set your pace and distance. In those middle frames, you can warm the fight up a bit more, be less worried about taking shots in return, and then start throwing those bigger bombs and combinations, especially if Chisora begins to break down and fade. You just don't need to force it. So get that jab going to set the rules of engagement up, build into the fight, and land those bigger bombs as the rounds wear on. I would also say weather the early storm. If Chisora has anything left, it's likely to show up early in the fight. Considering Joyce's engine, I can't imagine he's going to get outworked late. which means you want to ensure you aren't getting reckless or giving Chisora any chances, particularly early on in the contest, especially with such gas in the reserves. One way to weather that storm is with the aforementioned jab. Keep him busy with the jab as he tries to come in and swarm you, then reset. Another way is by leaning on Chisora, tying him up in close and forcing a stop to the action. It won't be exciting, but can surely be effective, especially against an older fighter. Once he starts to wear, you can pick up the pace as mentioned, but there's no sense slugging it out with someone who's looking for those big shots. So keep him calm at first, tame the big guy with that jab, then take advantage of Chisora as he begins to fade. And finally, keep the right short and sweet. A particular shot that will work for Joyce is the right hand. It's his power shot and he throws it well enough. However, when and how he throws it will matter, especially if he's trying to get the most out of it. From outside, that shot should be straight. Don't cock back, don't load up. Right down the middle. Catch Chisora rushing in with the shot. If and when on the inside, you want that shot short. Don't loop it or throw it and overthink it with all this kind of crazy buildup. Just create a little space and clip him with it. You aren't fast-handed, obviously. But if you keep that long right hand straight, and if you keep that up-close right hand short, you can have that blow be its most effective. So get the jab going, weather that early storm, and throw that right hand right down the middle or shoot it short when inside, and you'll have some success. Now switching over to Chisora. For Chisora to win, you want to test his chin early. The big question, the only reason this fight seems potentially close, is because Joyce and his chin may not be what we thought they were or what they once were. However, that won't matter if Chisora doesn't try to test that theory. So naturally, you want to get to that beard, and early while you still have gas in the tank and some power in your punches. You will need to press Joyce back, make his slow movements pay off for you and unleash those bigger blows. You need him backing up due to that reach. You can't fight him from the outside. It's not your style anyway, so you have to close distance. One way to do that and also test that chin is the overhand shots that could come in handy here. If he's backing up, launch them over the top and try to catch him. The momentum could leave him in some trouble and you can capitalize. Close that range, work in those overhand shots, and ask questions about Joyce's beard early to see what's there. I would also say finish the rounds strong. At 40, I don't expect you to have the greatest gas tank. That's obvious. However, that means you need to have a plan of sorts on how to spend the energy you do have. Initially, as mentioned, try to get something going early. If you're successful, chase it. If not, it's time to try and steal some rounds and control some part of the action. Come forward, throw those overhands, but when it gets to about 30 to 45 seconds left in the frame, step on the gas. As a vet, you have to use these tactics when you get up there in age. This helps you end rounds strong, maybe steal one or two, and ensure Joyce stays honest. Potentially, you even hurt him late, and it carries into the next round where you can capitalize. Either way, at least give the judges the impression that you're getting things done and having your moments in those rounds. Use that lasting impression towards the end of the frame. So finish those rounds strong to keep the fight close and give yourself a chance if this one happens to go the distance. And finally, land those hooks anywhere. You aren't the most accurate guy, not a pinpoint marksman at all. That's not your game. You need to just make contact in a potentially rough fight. That will include you throwing those hooks and not being too particular with where they land. You just want to get them home. Once you bridge the gap and you're inside a bit more, of course, wing them upstairs, but the body might be there too. Land there as well. Just apply that pressure and make your shots count. You don't want to swing wildly and leave yourself open or to gas out, but you want to get to those spots where you can have the best chance of connecting and making it work. When you're on the inside, land those shots and sap his steam to the body. Up top, test that chin as he's pulling back. Mix it up a bit to try and get some success out of him. Just make sure you're keeping that chin of yours tucked in the process. So test his jaw early in the contest, finish those rounds strong along the way, and get to work inside with those hooks to give yourself the best chance of winning. Now, in terms of my pick here, unless Joyce has completely been wrecked, I think he takes this one. I think Joyce starts off weathering that storm, getting a read for Chisora, and then starts busting him up with that long jab from the outside. Once he's settled down, I think Joyce will begin pressing him a bit more and landing with more combinations from more regular spots, particularly working with that right hand as mentioned in the build-up. Chisora might keep on his feet, but I think he's stopped either in his corner, in between frames, or by the referee after the action becomes too one-sided in favor of Joe. Winner, Joe Joyce via late fight stoppage. And in terms of the betting odds here, we have Joyce as a favor coming in at a -350, with Chisora coming in at a +270. So you're getting fairly decent odds either way here. I think Joyce as a money line is a reasonable one at 3.5 to 1. A medium-sized bet here is relatively safe for me. If you like the upset, which of course I don't, almost 3-1 your way is attractive. But again, you gotta be thinking Joyce is about finished for that bet to make sense, because Chisora certainly isn't what he once was either. In terms of the over-under, can't quite find that yet. I'll pin it down in the comments when it becomes available, but in any event, those are your odds. And my prediction record as of this recording is 34-15 with 15 exact, but let me know your thoughts, your bets, your picks, all that good stuff down in the comments. And of course, you can check out all the social media up top here. Also check out JAYONBOXING.com as well. And of course, you can check out this next video here. Until next time.